Hello everyone, and welcome to our channel, Mootechie. It's wonderful to have you here as we dive into the fascinating world of chemistry together. Today, we're going to explore a really important concept that helps us understand how acids and bases behave. Let's begin our lesson on acid and base theories, focusing on the Bronsted-Lowry theory of acids and bases. Now, let's look at our learning objectives for this session. We will define a Bronsted-Lowry acid as a proton or H+ donor and a Bronsted-Lowry base as a proton or H+ acceptor. We'll also state that an Amphiprotic species can act as both a Bronsted-Lowry acid and base. Finally, we'll learn to distinguish between a pair of species differing by a single proton as a conjugate acid-base pair. Moving forward, let's understand the Bronsted-Lowry theory itself. This theory was independently proposed by Danish chemist Bronsted and English chemist Lowry, who introduced new definitions for an acid and a base. These definitions simply state that an acid is a hydrogen ion donor, that's an H+ or proton, and a base is a hydrogen ion acceptor. A key point to remember is that acids and bases always come in pairs. To illustrate this, let's consider an example with HCl. When hydrogen chloride gas dissolves in water, it gives its proton to a water molecule. The reaction looks like this. HCl gas plus H2O liquid reacts to form H3O+ aqueous and Cl- aqueous. To truly understand this reaction, we need to watch what happens to the hydrogen atom from the HCl molecule. Let's consider this reaction more closely. When hydrogen chloride is added to water, the reaction is HCl plus H2O yields H3O+ and Cl-. In this pair, HCl donates a proton, so it is the Bronsted-Lowry acid. Meanwhile, water accepts that proton, so it acts as the Bronsted-Lowry base. Now let's look at another common example. When ammonia gas dissolves in water, the following reaction occurs. NH3 plus H2O yields NH4+ and OH-. In this case, ammonia accepts a proton, making it the Bronsted-Lowry base. Water, on the other hand, donates a proton, making it the Bronsted-Lowry acid. This brings us to a very important note about water. As we just saw, water can act as either an acid or a base depending on the situation. For this special reason, water is known as amphoteric, or another term for the same idea, amphiprotic. Let's test our understanding. Can you identify the Bronsted-Lowry acid in the following equation? The reaction is between hydrogen chloride and ammonia. HCl plus NH3 yields NH4+ and Cl-. The answer lies in the Bronsted-Lowry model. In the reaction HCl plus NH3, HCl is our first acid and NH3 is our second base. After the reaction, we get NH4+ and Cl-. Here, NH4+ is the second acid and Cl- is the first base. These are linked as conjugate pairs. Here's a crucial note to remember. An acid will only donate a proton when there is something there to accept it. Similarly, a base will only accept a proton if there is something there to donate it. They need each other. Let's delve deeper into the concept of a conjugate acid-base pair. When an acid donates its proton, the remaining part of the acid is called the conjugate base of that acid. Looking at our example again, we have the conjugate pair of HCl and Cl- and the conjugate pair of NH3 and NH4+. Furthermore, when a base accepts a proton, the new substance formed is called the conjugate acid of that base. For example, in the reaction of water and ammonia, H2O liquid plus NH3 gas yields NH4+ aqueous and OH- aqueous. Here, water acts as the acid, ammonia as the base, NH4+ is the conjugate acid, and OH- is the conjugate base. These form two conjugate acid-base pairs. So, to summarize this idea, together the acid and its conjugate base are known as a conjugate acid-base pair. The same thing applies to a base and its conjugate acid. A conjugate acid-base pair consists of a Bronsted-Lowry acid and its conjugate base, and another pair consists of a Bronsted-Lowry base and its conjugate acid. Let's try identifying these pairs in some equations. For the first reaction, CH3COOH plus H2O yields CH3COO minus plus H3O plus. See if you can spot the two conjugate acid-base pairs. And for a quick review, determine the acid-base conjugate acid and conjugate base in these two reactions. First, HCl aqueous plus NaOH aqueous yields NaCl aqueous plus H2O. And second, H2SO4 plus H2O yields H3O plus and HSO4 minus. Finally, let's recap the key takeaways from the Bronsted-Lowry model. First, an acid donates a proton and becomes a conjugate base. Second, a base accepts a proton and becomes a conjugate acid. And third, ampholites are substances like water that can behave as either an acid or a base. Thank you. See you in the next class.